ANC Treasurer General Mashatile says the party has resolved that those charged in court won't be able to contest elective conferences going forward. It comes after the election of a murder suspect in Mpumalanga, as well as corruption-accused eThekwini official Zandile Gumede. Now, in Mpumalanga, of course, Mr. Msibi was elected as the treasurer there. Let me take you to Pelane Phakgadi, who's been watching that story for us. Before we get to that, let's listen to what Mashatile had to say earlier in the day.
After a debate in the NEC, we then agreed that when a member has stepped aside voluntarily, he or she should not make himself or herself available to be elected in positions. And this could be in a BEC, in an REC, PEC, or even in the NEC. So the decision was taken just to close that gap, because comrades would say, look, well, the document doesn't say we shouldn't accept. So now we've made it explicit that if you want to step aside, you shouldn't accept nomination to any position. And the reason why the NEC took this position previously, or when this document was adopted, was to ensure that members and leaders of the ANC should be beyond reproach, and that we should protect the integrity of the organization. And at all times, if there are allegations against any leader of the ANC, if you are charged, you appear in a court of law for corruption or serious crime, you should voluntarily step aside. In an event where comrades don't step aside, the organizations can then invoke Rule 20.7 in the Constitution to deal with that matter. In other words, you then get suspended if you don't step down voluntarily.
Well, for more on this, we're joined by Newzroom Afrika reporter Pelane Phakgadi, who's been watching that story. Pelane, it's all about tightening what the party has described as loopholes in the step-aside rule. Has there been consensus over what exactly must change?
Well, loopholes, it has been, as far as we are concerned. They say it's a working document. It's a work in progress, and a lot of people are not happy. And already others saying that it seems like it's unfair that they're coming out now to say that you cannot contest if you are being charged, whereas there are already 2-3 officials who are currently affected by the step-aside who have just recently been elected. So no consensus whatsoever as far as that is concerned. But Paul Mashatile, the Treasurer General, of course, also tasked with the Secretariat General's office, and his work really to tell us the outcomes of that NEC, and he says there was a decision taken primarily to ensure that the work of renewal and moral regeneration comes forward. And now when you're talking about the unity of the African National Congress as well, which is sacrosanct to everything else that he has been saying, he says that is at the foremost important pillars that they need to take going forward. Now, I think what came out importantly for me at this particular conference that they were talking about in this particular press conference was that they felt that although this is a working document, people should also ideally ensure that they don't even run for the offices themselves when they know that they have criminal charges hovering over their heads, so that they can help and assist the National Executive Committee from making such decisions. Other than that, you'll have to be affected. The step-aside resolution will have to kick in once you are elected. But now they had to put a stop to that. No one moving forward from here will be elected if they have any case pending.
It's one thing for the NEC to pronounce on this right now. In July, we're going to have the policy conference of the ANC take place. They're going to need the buy-in of the branches, and I wonder, what are the questions that they have around that and the extent to which the step-aside rule in its totality will withstand, the scrutiny of the branches, because the fact that these nominations are coming from branches sends a message, and it certainly suggests that there isn't complete buy-in.
Definitely, and I think you'd agree with me when I say that this could be one of the conferences or policy conferences where the branches actually will have more interest in the policy of the ANC than who will actually come out to lead it, because whatever that they will be adopting will ultimately come through to bite at the end of the day. This is a policy the very branches you and I are talking about actually adopted at the NGC in 2015 and trickled down to the 2017 conference of the African National Congress. So those very branches, come July, they will have to now talk to the officials currently and give their side as to what exactly is it that they want. But you are correct to say that these are the very same branches that are going forward to forward the names of the candidates who currently have criminal records and are affected by the step-aside resolution. Whether there will be an outcome which will be acceptable by any or either the officials or the National General Council as far as the policy conference is concerned, I think that it is going to be a very, one could say, a tricky thing for the African National Congress. They will want to know what will happen, especially towards the December conference. That might, if the policy comes through, that might just give a sense to other people to come and contest the space when they have been suspended.
Pelane, before I let you go, let's talk about the issue of the leagues of the governing party. We already know that, there's an interim structure that's been put in place to try and convene the ANC Youth League. The latest decision around the Women's League, of course, raises questions.
Well, of course, they say the time has lapsed. They've been in government in governance for that structure for over 7 years now, and the term of office is 5 years. So the Women's Conference, the Women's League currently is leaving 2 years ahead, over the stipulated time. And the NEC had decided to disband the executive of this particular league and have an entity that is going to come to lead it and at least take it to conference. And those in itself happens while the MKMVA is tasked with the responsibility. Currently, registration process is happening in East London, where the MKMVA is having its conference. They are charged with the responsibility of amalgamating the MKMVA Council as well, to ensure that they come with one leadership structure and as well as one constitution. If that will happen, of course, those are some of the things that we'll be covering here on Newsroom 405.
All right, serious governance issues seemingly in the ANC, especially where it relates then to some of the leagues of the organization. Let's leave it there for tonight. Pelane, thanks for that update.